All right, you two, we're back. Dominic Izzo, Wing Chun. You know what? Really briefly, I got to thank my pastor in my church. Thanks to Good News in the Neighborhood out here in Palatine, Illinois, and Pastor Luke McDonald and all the church awesome people who let us do Kung Fu in the basement. So, yeah, we were looking for a place, and they're like, hey, use our basement. We're like, oh my gosh, traditional Wing Chun back in the basement. All right, so thanks. I really want to give everybody a shout out at my church. They do live Facebook Sunday services. Good News in the Neighborhood, Palatine, Illinois. Anyways, I want to talk about Chum Kiu and the separation of church and state, so to speak, of the upper and lower triangle. And some of you may not know this. Chum Kiu by far is my favorite form, and I think in my opinion, it's probably one of the most important forms in the Wing Chun system. A lot of people refer to it as seeking the bridge, which it is, right? Master Wong, calls it sinking the bridge. And there's some application that actually validates what he's talking about in there, but it's seeking the bridge. A lot of us think that it's this, right? This is the bridge in Wing Chun. It's the hand, it's the part between the wrist and the elbow, because that's where we're making contact with our Pak Sao or Tan Sao, right? All those skill sets. Bridge is really anything. If you extend your fist and it meets somebody's face, you just bridge the gap, right? That's the physical side of it. Other people think that it's also I learned in the first form, all my tools, my punch, my tan, my wu, my pak, my gan sao, my bong sao, jum sao. And then you're now incorporating your turn and your step in it. And you really don't need to see the footwork on the bottom half, because the important part is I just want you to see the waist and the hip area for this particular video. We'll get into that kind of stuff later on, right? But there is that. You're learning, okay, the first form taught me my center line punches. Here, 1, 2, 3. And in the second form, there's application, where we're learning to turn and punch, and we're learning to turn and do all these movements. The most important thing that I think it's an internal aspect. So you're seeking the bridge physically between you and opponent. You're seeking the bridge between moving your upper and your lower triangle together, putting energy behind your hits. And then you're seeking bridge with learning how to use mobility to deliver energy so that your punch that's put out there, your punch has some mustard on it, right? That's the whole point of that. When you're doing the form, again, I'm not lineage bashing. I'm saying what I've seen. And I know that a lot of justification comes out. Well, you don't study with us and you would see that we do this and blah, blah, blah. Guys, I don't care anymore. I care about my experience, and I'm bringing that to the channel so you enjoy it. Couple different things. When I first learned the form, one of the biggest parts that I had a problem with was double jump into the Lan Sao movement, because my first Sifu had us put 70% of your weight on your back leg and then turn, and then 70% of your back leg and your turn, and then turn. And this is what I've seen in the Lung Ting system, where they will turn one foot independent from the other, shift that weight, one, and then the other one recruits, one, and then the other one recruits. The problem is, as you can see, if here's my axis moves. My axis moves. And I'm over-exaggerating it to show a point. Don't tell me that you can apply that into a fight when pressure comes in, because a good boxer will destroy you, and anybody with a week worth of grappling skills will 100% destroy you. In a controlled Chi Sao environment or drill, partner drills, yes, you're going to get away with it. When I started to understand that it's like a tripod, right? The axis should never shift, and you should never raise up when you shift. It's like, picture you're in Mrs. Washington Smith's School of Finishing Etiquette, and you've got that book on your head. So when you step, that book never moves. If you step and then go forward and the book slides because you have to readjust, that's a problem. Glass of water. I think Ed De La Cruz from Windy City Wing Chun, another great guy who I haven't talked to in a while. Ed, I hope you're doing well. But Ed talks about a glass of water, right? You don't want to spill that glass of water. Same concept. If you're looking in Chum Kiu, when you keep that in mind, right, you're applying the concept of separation of church and state. What I mean by that is your hips and your waist operate independently. And if you get this concept and you apply it in Chi Sao, you could be facing somebody, open them up without moving, and open up their center line. It's really beautiful. In the first section where you wind up, double Lan Sao, keep your 50-50. Keep your 50-50. Keep your 50-50. What you're learning too from Chum Q is energy applications more than any other form, more than the first form. Because I'm learning when I do my first movement, everything turns either a push or a pull. This side is going to pull like a lopsided motion. This side is going to go forward like an elbow position. Two movements, opposite directions. One's pulling and one's pushing, right? Boom. Boom. And that's nothing new. Where did you get that before? You got that in your centerline punch. If you're doing your centerline punch and you are not with the same amount of force and intent that you're pulling this one out, you pull this back, these movements, they're together. It's like a bicycle chain. The bicycle chain top still is pulled by the bottom. So you're getting that force, right? You're getting that in there. It's beautiful. You're finding that in the second form here. 2, 3. That's where that power is, right? Not to mention the fact, after you do this movement, right? What do we do the next part? Boom. This is what I see. Put your hips and your waist and you're sinking and you're rising into it. When I turn my first form, I turn down and I sink. I rise up, sink back. 1, 2, 3, right? Now I got to strike. As I strike, pull back and I turn so that my hips are going on a 45-degree angle, but my turn, my gut here turns because it's separated. My hips are facing you, but my turn is giving me more play, more power. 1, I've got this extension. My hips are going that way, but my waist is going that way. 2, 3, here, loading up. One arm pulls, right? You're pulling and pulling, and you're sinking. How do you keep balance? If you put a lot of torque on this and you're upright, like in some of the other forms, guys, with everything you have from here, turn. The problem that's going to happen, you lose balance no matter how fast you turn. You sink while you do it, you're rooting into the ground, digging your hips forward. Hips are going that way, forward intent with your waist turn. One arm pulls. Here, setting it up. Pull, rise and sink, rise and sink. The second form, I love the second form. It's my absolute favorite. You will find more expenditure of energy in that form than anything else. More than the dummy, knife form, pull form, you name it. More than the third form. You're going to find the seeking the bridge in the discovery of how you deliver energy into your strikes, your pulls, your pushes, your stance, everything. The second form, if you have not, I think I practice that form more than any other one. It's everywhere in there, every aspect of the form, and it's in that first movement, the opening movement. Right, after you get past the punches, and just, center fighting line again, boom, boom, boom. It's you, boom, sink, rise, sink, rise, boom, 1, 2, and turn, pull. Everything, even here, right? You're here, this, rising, turning, all these movements here. You're sinking, rising, you're rising. And again, I'll give him credit. Remember Bruce Lee doing this? It's here in the form. When you find this section of the form, I always tell people, you're going to see the projection of my Man Sao Wu Sao is out, right? My shoulders aren't back in Wing Chun and I'm here. It's projected out. That's the one thing I think Bruce Lee did bring to this art, or he explored it. I tell people, think about holding a giant fitness ball. That's your space, concave, your stuff, put it forward. Now you have your energy going forward for massive projection, activates your opposite side hip flexor. This second form, you're going to discover so much in Wing Chun. Play around with it, discover it. It is by far the most, in my opinion, the most important form in Wing Chun, sans Silam Dao. I hope this stuff, again, I'm just throwing concepts out at you. I don't mean to be insultive when it comes down to talk about other people's lineages. And I read the comment sections all the time. I know everybody's got an opinion about stuff. I really don't care. You're coming to my channel for my stuff. If you disagree with it, 312 East Wood Street in Palatine, let me know you're coming out first, because we do not take walk-ins, but I'll be more than happy to show you what I'm talking about. It used to be years ago, it was, I'll email you a waiver and bring a friend to carry you out. But I think those days are gone. This has got to be a combat application. and energy lives within it's you. You have to stop thinking about the person in front of you, because at the end of the day, the punch is always going to go out, the bong is always going to go out, this and that. After you've delivered an attack, can you recover? Believe it or not, that's what the dummy's about, right? The dummy is not about it's not about toughening your arms. It's about position and recovery. Once you put something out, the dummy's giving you an object to meet where that energy comes back in. That's why it's got a little bit of play. All right, I'm here. Okay, if my movement. After you've hit, if you don't have proper balance, you hit hard in the air. Is your balance going forward, or you sunk and you're putting that power into it? And is your lower half engaged and disengaged to wind up recovering? You're going to see this in Chi Sao too. I'll get one of the other students probably Saturday, and I'll show you how I'll take energy coming in. My hips will be going forward, and I'll let them come in, and I'll turn. My hips are still going forward, but my waist is turning. Because this is how, oh, look at this. Bill G, there's your recovering from energy, right? It's without turning and compensating and giving somebody a blind side coming in. So the circle step is the most important step, I think, in Wing Chun. And I think turning and shifting, turning your stance or shifting your horse stance, but definitely Chum Kiu teaches you the separation of church and state in your hips and your waist, and how to apply that with your upper body, taking energy, either striking energy or grappling energy, because both, that's all there is. There's only a striking energy or grappling energy. And still, putting a hand out, that could be a punch. Putting a hand out for a throat grab or a grab, it's still the same damn thing. It's just how the target that you reacted to reacts and responds, and then your recovery afterwards. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.